Welcome to episode 165 of Meeple to Meeple. Today, I am pleased, I'm so excited, guys, y'all have no idea. I'm going to be joined by Zoe, the creator behind the Instagram account Unicorns and Board Games, a page that celebrates the colorful, creative, and downright joyful side of the tabletop hobby. Through vibrant photographs, game night snapshots, and thoughtful posts about the games that are hitting her table, Zoe has managed to build a space that highlights not just the games themselves, but the community that makes this hobby so special. Today, we're going to talk about her journey into board gaming, what inspired her to start sharing her games on social media, and the titles that she cannot stop playing right now. Zoe, thanks for joining me. How
Oh,
are
wow.
you?
What an intro. I wasn't expecting you to say all that lovely stuff. That's so nice. Thank you. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Well, good. Fantastic. I'm so glad to finally meet you and have you featured on the show.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time.
likewise.
So, yeah. So you're a real inspiration. And I don't know if
Oh,
you
thank
know that.
you. That's so nice.
You are. For me, I think it's, and as I featured in my introduction, it's when the one word that comes to my mind when I think about you and your platform is colorful. Like you exude color. And through that color, I think you exude joy.
I think that's one of the things my account was talking about this with somebody else in a podcast last time about it just being always being colourful, being the main thing that
Yep.
has stayed the same. So that's
Yep.
good.
So let us begin. Tell me, what was the first board game you ever played as a child?
Oh, the first I ever played, it's got to have been something akin to like Monopoly and all of like your normal family games. But we did have things like Hero Quest and sort of old school stuff like that. I remember playing the original D&D board game, not D&D the RPG, but the board game version that had like the minis and stuff. So those were
Yes.
the first more hobby board games that I played. But
Right.
the first is going to be something like Monopoly or Mastermind, Guess Who, all of those sort of more mainstream
Ooh,
type games.
I forgot about
I still,
Mastermind. Oh my
I
gosh.
can see it on my shelf.
That's a
I've still
great.
got Mastermind because my little boy quite likes playing it. So I think it's a classic.
Good. So, how did you first discover the modern board game kind of world?
um,
Right? When you went from the classics, what was that first modern board game for you?
Actually, it came about through Magic the Gathering. So I'd played board games, like mainstreamy board games before, but I started playing Magic the Gathering, and I ran a board. Well, it wasn't a board game store when we opened it, but it turned into a board game store, a gaming store that mainly sold Magic the Gathering, others card games, and Warhammer and stuff like that. But a small selection of board games, and more customers asked for more board games. So we started stocking more and started hosting board game nights. And obviously, customers that came in introduced me to more board games, played things like Pandemic and Ticket to Ride and sort of all those kind of classics. And that's sort of where it ended up being a much bigger hobby than, Monopoly. But through Magic the Gathering, that's definitely the gateway for me was that game.
Yep. Do you still play Magic?
Not for a really long time. I have still got a few
Okay.
decks that I've kept. Like I kept all my favorite ones, and I've got a few of the Magic the Gathering. They did like not board games, but like more box versions of them that I've got. Like if you wanted to just
Yeah.
play a game, but in terms of playing like competitively or anything like that, I don't do that anymore. So I used to like do Friday Night
Okay.
Magic and stuff, but no, no.
Yep.
Did
Yeah.
you ever play
Yep.
Magic the Gathering?
Yep. It's been a long time. I did. It's interesting. I was God, this was so long ago, but I had a lot of friends who were into Magic, and so they introduced it to me, and it was like we used to work at McDonald's, and you'd get off the night shift at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and so then you would go to like a diner, a 24-hour diner, and we'd sit around a booth, 5 or 6 of us, and
Mhm.
play Magic until sunrise or longer, and I gravitated towards green, and I don't know why, but, um, I think it was the nature and it
Yeah,
was the animals, and there was a card, and I have one copy of this card, and I framed it, and it's sitting on one of my shelves here
curious.
in my game room. It's the it's the bull
Okay.
elephant. It's a simple for those of you who know Magic, it is a very simple green 4/4 creature with trample. It doesn't do anything special. The artwork sang to me, and the elephant is my favorite animal, so I really gravitated towards, "I'm gonna make a green elephant deck." Well, later on, I found out there were white elephants, so I made a
Wow, that's
green-white
pretty
elephant
cool.
deck, and,
Mm,
yeah, and, but I mean, I played for years having not bought a single Magic card because all my
yeah,
friends,
you would love,
they had so many commons, they were like, "Here you
my
go."
favorite format of Magic you would love then, because you'd be able to use this deck. It's the Tribal Wars. You ever hear this format? Tribal Wars is essentially you
I don't
build
know
your
that.
deck around one, like, tribe, like you have an elephant deck, or I like to play a vampire deck, or, whatever the type of animal or creature is. So you can have anything in it, but it's got to be fit into that tribe. So all of your creatures
Okay,
have got to be of that. And the idea is that any other cards you'd put in should make sense and exist within that sort of tribe. It's for funsies, not
sure.
for competitively, but elephants would work
Oh,
awesome,
no.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah. We had some friends whose, one of their eldest child, started to express interest in Magic, and so, um, I taught my wife how to play Magic, and she just fell in love with cats, and so she made a cat deck. It's like every cat card I had to go
mm.
buy, like, they,
There's
they're
like
commons, right?
that
So, like,
planeswalker as well, isn't there?
5
A Johnny? I
yeah,
wanna say a
there
Johnny,
is.
yeah.
A
Mhm.
Johnny, yeah, a Johnny.
That's one.
So yeah, definitely Magic for a long time. Um, so I guess the question is, at what point did you decide to hit social media and become a content creator?
The account that I have now, I originally started as an account for the shop that I ran at the time. So um, it was started for International Tabletop Day. They had like a thing where there was a hashtag for it, and you got promos and stuff like that. So we did some posts for that for the shop, but then I very quickly adopted it as my account, and it would be stuff that I would post about what I was doing and games I was playing, and then I didn't run a shop anymore. So again, I just sort of so I think maybe for 6 months it was a shop, and then for the last 10 years it's been mine. So yeah,
Well, I'm glad that you said it because I was going to say you've been on Instagram for
yeah,
10
yeah.
years,
Actually, I think we might
So
have got to 11 now, because it's now 2026 and it's nearly April. So yeah, it'd be very soon 11 years. Yeah.
yeah.
Long time.
So I've been on Instagram for
Wow.
13 years, but it was only 9 years ago where I switched it from just a
Yeah.
personal account to focusing on board games and the birth of the Cajun Gamer, um, which had a lot to do with my leaving. Oddly enough, had to do with my leaving Louisiana and coming to Illinois. Right, like that need to uh, reconnect with my cultural heritage and at the same time share my love of
Yeah.
board games. So it's kind of how that happened. Do you remember um, any post, whether it's a reel, a story, any format that really took off? I don't want to say go viral unless it
I
did
have
go
had
viral,
no
but was
viral
there a post that,
posts. Definitely no viral
yeah,
posts yet. Um,
but how about something that really took off and you started realizing that you were actually connecting with other people and not just posting it into the world?
I think that's not something that started happening until much later on, because I think I was always just sort of posting stuff on Instagram and not really thinking too much about the idea that there was an audience outside of, maybe people that I knew anyway, friends, family. It wasn't until starting going more to UKG that like having like a few people be like, "Oh, hi Zoe, are you Unicorns and Board Games?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me," you know. So when that started happening, I started engaging more with like the community hashtags and things like that. And I started doing rainbow board games, which is the whole, each month there's a different color and you have a stack of games of that color. And usually I'll wear a matchy color outfit or even if
Cool.
it's like components or dice or just posts of that color. And loads of people got involved in that. And we used to do, like big sort of collage posts each month with everybody that joined in. But it is still going now, actually. People still post stuff for it. And every now and again, I remember to join in myself and actually post stuff. But yeah, that was sort of the first time that it was a more of that sort of engagement. It was getting involved in the hashtags.
Right.
Because as I say,
Yeah.
prior to that, it hadn't really occurred to me that there was people, not like people just watching content, but people being aware that it was me that was making content as a. I hate
Right.
the term influencer. It really makes me cringe. I don't know why, but that idea of the influencer wasn't really something that I thought was a thing. Certainly not for me.
Right.
So I was just sort of posting stuff and not really thinking. But yeah,
Yeah. So my whole platform is really big on community, nurturing a sense of community. Talk to me about the feelings. Like, what did it feel like when you realized, say, through
yeah.
the Rainbow Games collection, like that you were actually connecting with real people? What did that? And I guess what does that mean to
Um,
you today?
I think at first it's a little bit unusual. It's a bit strange because it's different. It's strange trying to explain it to people who aren't at all in this hobby because I think if you're
Right.
not into board games, you really don't see how big a thing board games are. Like if I say to somebody like a work colleague, "Oh yeah, I play board games," like in their head they're like, um, "I play Monopoly too," that sort of thing. Um, so it, it's
Yep.
quite strange the idea of being, somewhere like UKGE. That would be my example, and people knowing who you are. It's very unusual, but only to a really really niche select group of people. It's not. I remember having somebody ask. I was talking about reviewing some games, and that I'd been sent some games by a publisher to review, which is obviously really cool, and I feel really lucky to do it. But I was talking to somebody that didn't know what it was out of it, and they were like, "Oh wow, what like why do you do that? Are you like a big influencer or like famous or something?" I was like, maybe, but only to a really really tiny niche select group of people, like the most niche thing. Yeah, it's quite strange.
So, do do you remember the first time at UKGE where someone came up to you and recognized
Yeah, I
you?
do actually. Yeah, and I remember
Yeah.
who it was who is probably much more active on Instagram than I am now, and I'm sure has way more like followers and content. Gingerbeard Geek Dad. I don't know if you're familiar with this account, Gingerbeard Geek Dad.
Okay. Yep.
But we still do see him every now and again at Expo and have a wave and a sort of a knowing nod. But the first time I met him, he's sort of like, "Are you Unicorns and Board Games?" And I was like, "Oh, that's weird. Somebody recognizes me." Yeah, it was quite strange because, as I say, it hadn't occurred to me that people might recognize me. But
Right.
yeah.
That is fantastic. So do you remember what year that was?
Oh gosh. It would have been. It was when UKG was at the games at the NEC, so it switched from being at the Hilton, and it switched from being in the Hilton in. Oh, I don't know. No, what year? Maybe 9 years ago? No, 8 years ago. 8 years ago,
Okay.
maybe.
It's been
Somebody
some
else
time.
that listens to this will have to correct me on that because I can't think. There was it was at the Hilton for a
Well,
few years. Then it switched
yeah.
to the NEC, and I went for a few years before I had a little one, and then we took him in his pushchair, and I think it would have been that year, which means but it would have been 2019. There you go, because I can remember how old my kid is.
Uh,
Like, trying to link it to something that I know the year of. I
yes,
reckon
yes.
2019. Yeah.
So how much has your experience at UKGE changed since
Oh,
then?
loads. Yeah. So, I've been going to UKG for, well, for ages, since it was at the Hilton. But the first few years I went just go for a day. And then we decided to go for multiple days of the event, but we drive in every day because we weren't all that far away from there. Nothing far away here compared to where you are. And so we'd drive in for all the days of the event. And then we decided we'd get a hotel and stay overnight. And then the year after, we decided, well, we'll stay over the night before as well, so that we can be there in the morning.
Mm.
And then for the last 2 years, we've also stayed over the last night so that we can be there at the end. So become this like big, nearly a week long holiday that we do now. Um, yeah, it's great. It is honestly the like highlight of my year, UKGE. I love it. Um, yeah, it's brilliant. And we always make a massive deal out of it. And, you know, as loads of people do, it's cracking. You should
Yeah.
definitely come to the UK to do UKG one time.
It is on my
Yeah.
bucket list. It is on
What
my
what
bucket
big
list to do that.
conventions do you go to
Um,
where you are? What are you close by?
so, that answer is twofold. I can tell you what conventions I normally go to, except these are not the conventions I'm going
Oh,
to
right. Okay.
this year. This year's kind of a one-off. So normally my wife and I start the year off at what's called Geekway Mini. It's a games library and a play to win library. They restrict to 400 tickets, badges, and it's just gaming. There are no vendors, there's no food trucks, there's nothing, right? And it's an hour south of us in St. Louis. And then in May, which is coming up soon, is Geekway to the West, which is the larger. So there's Geekway Mini in January, and then you have Geekway to the West, which is anywhere from between 2 and 5,000
Yeah.
attendees. There's a small vendor hall, there's events, play to win, things of that nature, but it's really focused mostly on gaming with a handful of events. Um, and then there's various others. Recently, Tennessee Game Days in Nashville is one that I usually go to with our good friend Adam from Tabletop Vibes, who lives a few hours north of us. He drives down and then we head together. It's a 6-hour drive.
Um,
Gen Con, which is the big one. Gen Con is in Indianapolis, which is a 3-hour drive from me. So it's really easy. But again, we have to stay for the whole weekend. Um, but Gen Con is just, it's gotten kind of, it's gotten not too big. I've outgrown it or it
yeah.
outgrew me. I'm not really, it's one of those two. I don't know which one it is. And then another one is Origins Game Fair, which is in
You
Columbus,
guys have
Ohio, which is
so
6
many
hours.
cons to pick from, don't you? There's loads.
So, yeah, and I'm just talking about we really do, we really do, and I'm only
Yeah.
scratching the surface because there's the Dice Tower.
Oh,
I think
I was
there's
going to ask
East
you,
and West
have you ever
and
been on one of
South.
the Dice Tower ones? No.
No, I have never been to a Dice Tower convention. There is also
Yeah.
PAX. There's PAX East, West, South, and then the big one is that we talk about a lot is PAX Unplugged. I think because PAX is a hybrid of video games and tabletop gaming, whereas PAX Unplugged is exclusively, hence the unplugged, it's exclusively tabletop gaming. And it's got about 40,000 attendees. Gen Con about 80,000, Origins about 16 to 20,000, PAX Unplugged's about 40,000. And then there's a lot of other little 500, 1,000.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smaller ones.
So many
But
more than
you've
there are
got,
here. I mean, we do
well,
have a
you've
lot,
got, let's see,
compared to what there
you
was, but,
do.
I think nowhere near on the
Yeah.
scale that you guys have. We we have lots of, like,
Well, you,
little, like community organised events and stuff going on.
Yes.
But big events, we've got obviously UKGE, um,
Yep.
Aircon that's just been on, which I think is much bigger now than it was. I think this year might be the year that it's sort
Yeah.
of it's like a big con rather than maybe it
Yeah.
started off a bit smaller. But I've actually never been to Aircon. It's one that I really should go to because it's super local, but it always lands on a really awkward weekend. I think it was Mother's Day this year when it was on, so it was an awkward
Mm.
one. Um,
How how close is Harrogate? Because
yeah,
Harrogate, right?
yeah.
That's where
Uh,
Aircon is. How close is that
I'm
to
not
you?
sure now. You say I think it's only a couple of hours drive. My brother used to live in Harrogate, so we'd go and visit him quite often.
Okay.
He was in the army base there, so only a couple of hours, I'm sure. And I think I got the train there a few times as well. Yeah, nothing's very far here. Everything's really close
Yep.
by.
Yep. You also you have a very robust public transit system. The train I love the
Oh,
trains in the
that's been
UK.
interesting.
So, there's no reason for you not to
Yeah,
go more. You need to go to
yeah,
more
yeah.
conventions
I
because
do. I do. Do you know what
you
part of it is
you could
though?
you could do it.
That I feel because for me, UKG is like a massive highlight of my year. And especially with aircon, it's only a few months beforehand. I always feel like I don't want to ruin that sort of like I'm really hyped up to go into
Sure.
UKG. So had I gone to aircon last week or the week before, whenever it was, I wouldn't have wanted to buy much or look at lots of new stuff because I'd feel like I was robbing my UKG experience a couple of weeks ahead of time. I know that sounds really silly, but because
Okay.
it's the big
Oh,
event, I kind of like that
yeah.
it's the one yearly thing that it keeps the hype for UKGE. We did talk though maybe this year
Well,
of next year, sorry, of doing aircon, but doing that as the one we take our little boy to. We never take him to
yes.
UKG, which I know is really mean because it's super family friendly, but we it's like a weekend away and we stay over and have some
Yeah.
drinks and stuff. And so we said maybe next year we'd take our little boy to aircon and it's a more family type experience, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. It's my understanding though that aircon is really
Yeah, yeah,
family friendly.
yeah,
Like it's a really good one to
yeah.
take your kids to. That seems to be. Yeah, it's funny you bring it up. I had Susie on Susie Cousins like last year, and we talked about taking kids and
Mm.
bringing your family to. She talked a lot about UKGE, but we just talked about bringing your family to gaming conventions and all the logistics behind managing one or more
Yeah,
kids in tow. I really enjoyed that conversation. I think a lot of people got a lot out
yeah.
of it. So
So
uh, I
we took
love
him
that.
when he was
So
very
I want to,
little, like in pushchair,
yeah.
and that was a stroke of genius because we ended up just using the pushchair to carry games in for the whole day, so that was awesome. Uh, but then he didn't obviously he didn't really participate because he was like literally just a baby at the time. So yeah, we've not done it since then, but we'll see. He likes
Yeah.
he's like really getting into games and stuff. So I think he'd be down for going. Um, I think maybe I'm a little bit
Yeah.
selfish about UKG though because it's my holiday, so I want to you know
Sure. Well, I think that makes a good argument for you taking him to
yeah yeah
AirCon. Then, like AirCon is is the family convention, and UKG
yeah.
is your
Yeah.
weekend
I
away.
wish they were a little bit
You know,
apart, like there was a winter
sure.
version of UKG. Maybe we should pitch that to the UKG guys that they
Mhm.
should just do two, a winter one and a summer one. That'd be good.
Tennessee Game Days has has a fall and a
Uh,
winter. They have like a November and again, it's really small. It's like 700 people, but they have one in November and one
yeah,
coming
we
up
could do that.
in April. So you could definitely do that. I'd like to point out that you do have the option of going to Edinburgh and going to Tabletop Scotland
Yeah,
in
yeah, I
September.
could do. Now I feel like that's one I've looked at before, but because I'm a teacher, September is just always an absolute no go. So we have all like
Mm,
induction for new students and then open days and
Yeah.
So I can never do anything in September. It's just one
Mm.
of those. It's possibly the worst month for teachers getting any time to do anything because it's just hectic. So, but yeah, that would be a good one to do.
Uh,
Mm.
so whoever's organizing these
Yeah,
conventions in the UK, you
come
guys
on.
need to get it together. You're losing out on
Mm.
opportunity for attendees because you put
We
them at times
we
that
need
don't
a
work with
summer
school. Come on.
holiday one that when all us teachers are pretending like we haven't actually got a job and just living the life of leisure. Yeah, summer holidays. That's what we want.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if I were in charge of an organization that was having a huge tabletop gaming convention, uh, that's when I
Yeah,
would do it, is in the summer. So you can maximize the
yeah.
attendees, so yeah. So let me ask you, so your posts highlight so many games, but you do it in a really fun and colorful way. We've talked about color and you using color as a medium to express joy. Do you have a process for setting up and photographing your games,
Um,
or is it just point and shoot?
I didn't used to, but I do now. And the
Mhm.
main reason I've had to change that a bit is because we moved house, and where we live now, the game room which I'm sat in now, um, just has really terrible lighting. Whereas where we lived before, the lighting was perfect, and I could take a picture at any point. So actually, most of
Mm,
my posts, unfortunately, that you see now, they tend to be staged posts that I've either we've played a game the night before and I've left it set out so that I can get the daylight shot of it, or I've set it up with lights, especially to photograph it because unless I'm out and about or I'm somewhere else to take photos that's got better lighting, if I'm playing a game in my own game room, the lights are terrible. So yeah, I will quite often, if I want a really nice shot for something, it will usually be a staged one so that I can get the light just right. Or like I say, it's something that I've
I
left
love
out.
it.
I will often I'll play
Right?
something in the evening, and then the end state of the board I'll leave and photograph in the morning. I do lots of the shots where I sort of sit here and then the game's here. That's usually the night before's game left to photograph. Yeah. But it was only since we
I
moved
don't.
house that I had to start doing that because the lighting was beautiful where I lived before. Always I could get a lovely shot, and
Oh.
I didn't know at the time that it was so good. I took it for granted.
And you do it all on your
Yeah,
phone?
yeah. All of my stuff. I just take it on my phone. I do have like some nice lights and setups and stuff like that, but I don't ever use a proper camera, which I really should. But no, I don't.
See, that's the thing is you don't need all the equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't.
And I think for something like
Yeah.
Instagram, because I do much prefer that holistic content where you just happen to be playing a game and snap a picture. The whole point of that is that you can just do it on your phone and quickly upload it. And,
Right.
you know,
The problem with that is you have to remember
yeah,
to take
yeah,
the
yeah, which I'm
photograph.
terrible for doing. Or you have to remember to actually post the photograph because I've got so many where I've snapped some pictures and then they've just lived forever on my phone without me remembering what I took them for.
Yep.
They'll be like, I found one the other day that was a close up of like a little hedgehog piece. I can't even remember what game it was. And I sort of posted in a few of the Instagram chat groups, like, did somebody recently have hedgehog as a theme on a challenge? Because I took all these pictures of these hedgehogs and I can't remember why.
Do you I know a lot of content creators do this. I do it when I'm at conventions, but I don't do it normally. Do you have, a a meeple or a favorite board game component that when you're out, like out of
Oh.
your house, that you carry with you to take pictures with in different
No, no, I
settings?
don't do that. But I know what you mean. I've seen quite a few accounts that do that sort of
Yeah,
thing. That's a really good idea. Sometimes I'll maybe take a specific component with me out that I know I'm going to photograph. Never the same one though. Like for example,
okay.
today, excuse me, one of the prompts for a hashtag that I did today was blossom, and I knew we were going to the park where hopefully there would be some blossom starting to bloom. So I took with me the cherry blossom card from Arboretum. Just I put it in my wallet just in case to snap the picture, and I did actually
Yeah.
remember and do the picture. So every now and again, if I'm going somewhere, I'll try and take something that's of the theme. Like we went to the Sea Life Centre a few weeks ago, and I forgot that I'd got a little tiny penguin in my pocket, and I didn't take a picture, but I did take it with me just in case. But no, not the same piece. Yeah, I've seen quite a few that do that where they've got yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I I usually I do it for, like, Gen Con and big
Yeah.
conventions. I've got a little panda
Oh,
meeple and a
oh, yeah,
Spock because 'cause I'm a
yeah,
big Star Trek fan, and so I would do that. I would just, like, take pictures in front of
yeah,
stuff. It's a lot of fun, but you gotta remember to
yeah,
do that.
yeah, I know, I forget. Yeah, I felt really bad for that
And
penguin.
I'm the
The
worst.
penguin I took all the way to Sea Life Centre and then just completely forgot he existed. I felt really bad afterwards.
My problem is taking pictures at
Yeah,
all, right? If I were to go to UKGE and, finally get to meet you in person, and we would hang out, and we would have a great time and play a lot of games, and I would forget
yeah,
to take a picture of us
yeah. I
together.
would take pictures of all the board games and the components, but forget to take pictures of the people or of myself
Yeah,
with people or yeah, yeah. I do
yeah,
that a lot.
yeah. This is this is what I do. It's the whole conversation when and the
Yeah.
relationships that it's all about for me,
I
and,
just hope that there's
you
somebody
would
else
think
taking pictures of you.
yeah. Yes, yes, and I'm like, "Send that to me
Yeah.
because I need that."
Have to get like a UKG photographer that like follows everybody around. Just in fact, they should have that. That'd be
There you
quite
go.
cool. Like,
I mean, I think that you're famous enough now that you could have a
oh
paparazzi
wow,
following you around at
imagine that.
UKGE, right?
Hmm.
Um, so let's talk about unicorns,
Okay.
right? Mythical creature that, we all know about the unicorn. So here's my question. If a game earns the unicorn status on your
Yeah.
table, meaning that it's really special and rare, what qualities does that board game
Oh,
have?
that's a good question. For me, initially, I am drawn into pretty games. That's my initial draw. I like things that are really beautiful, really colourful, shiny, pretty things. Um, However, there have been many shiny, beautiful games that I've had on the table that have then been a bit pants. So I have also learned that a game doesn't have to be beautiful to be amazing. In fact, my favorite game of all time is Terraforming Mars, which I would argue is perhaps one of the most looking games. It's really, really not very aesthetically pleasing at all. Even with all the beautiful little shiny cubes, it's still really near looking. Um, so yeah, I have learned that, but I am like a magpie. I do go straight for aesthetics, and pretty things and beautiful. But when a game's on the table, I do like something that's I like an engine builder. I like something that you spend a lot of time sort of building up a plan of what's going to happen and, just getting
Mm,
everything just right until that moment where you can set your turn off and everything just, you know, everything works and your engine pulls off and you score loads of points. And that's the sort of stuff. I like the engine builder. Yeah. So a
okay.
pretty
There's a
engine builder is what we're looking for here.
Okay. So a pretty engine builder, I like that.
Mm.
Um, there's a definite beauty though. There's a beauty in the harmony of building an
Yeah.
engine, spending the time and building an engine in your game, and it works. And it works the way you intended it
Yeah.
to, right? Yeah, there's definitely some beauty in that.
You
Okay.
played
All right.
a recent one that's hit my table, Moon Colony Bloodbath. Have you played
Huh?
this yet?
I
So
have. I've
I
definitely played it.
quite like the opposite on that you get really invested into this building this awesome engine and then everything just completely falls apart and your engine just goes,
Yep.
you know. So I thought that would really, really frustrate me because I like the satisfaction of actually getting my engine to work. But actually, I really, really
Yeah.
enjoyed that, trying to hold on and desperately cling together whilst my engine completely falls apart. So yeah, that's been a big hit recently for me.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's a hit for everyone. I mean, it's got a lot of hype and
Yeah,
a lot of people talk about it. It's interesting. I played it with the intention of losing, um, and that so, like, I intentionally didn't invest, like, in that first half. I was like, "Eh, whatever, okay."
yeah,
And I ended up winning. I ended up outlasting everyone and winning, which is ultimately what the
yeah.
game is all about, is just surviving everyone else. But,
Dying last.
yes, making an engine that survives,
Yeah,
right? But I could definitely see that could be a frustrating game for someone who loves engine builders, because you
yeah,
build it and then you watch it fall apart, right?
yeah. I did think
Um,
that it would
I
frustrate me, but no, I really, really enjoyed it.
You enjoy, yeah. I think 'cause there's some beauty too in the, it's that whole, order and chaos, right? If there's a balance, there's this symmetry and beauty to it, and of course, now I'm talking, like, philosophically, um, and you see it in very tangible results on your tabletop playing
Yeah,
that game, right? As you build it and then you watch it crumble. You don't really watch it crumble, you just watch it get eaten
yeah.
away over
You
time.
try to mitigate it,
Um,
and you can try and like quickly get a few extra cards that'll give you a bunch of people to sacrifice to the engine that's eaten everything away. But yeah, I like that. I think that's something else that I do
yeah.
like, that sort of pressure in a game of trying to fix something and solve something before it goes wrong. I like that too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We played, is it Thunder Road Vendetta
I've not played
yesterday.
this one, but it looks
Um,
pretty. So
this it
yeah,
it does, it does. We played it yesterday, and so I was playing, so normally you have 3 cars, right? The whole idea is that you have a small, medium, and large car, each team, and you're racing across, but you can shoot each other and you gotta avoid
like
obstacles and
like
stuff.
Mad
But
Maxy
my
type.
yeah, kind of. Except I was playing what's called the big rig. So it's one big truck that takes up 3 spaces on the road, right? So you can take a lot of damage and you can punch through a lot of obstacles. Um, but when you do that, you
Yeah,
take damage, and then your opponents shoot at you and you take more damage, right? But you can take more damage than your opponents can because you have one vehicle, whereas they have 3 or more, depending upon the team. But that level of tension I felt yesterday, because I was trying to, because you can mitigate by repairing the damage en route, but it's like
I like the sound of
trying
that
to
one.
just trying to stay
Yeah.
alive, and I
Oh.
did not stay alive. My wife won that one, so, she was very thrilled, because like, the last time we played it, she was the first one to get
Yeah,
eliminated, so she was really excited to have won. She felt vindicated this time, but that
yeah,
tension was there, like, the whole game. It was, like, just trying
I
to
like that.
survive.
Yeah, that's what I like in Moon Colony. I think it's that's a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Is there any other games that have been hitting your table
Um,
recently?
the biggest hit for me recently was Cozy Stickerville. Like, I know that's had loads of hype around it, but like the hype is it's brilliant. I think that, I know it's early doors to say this, but I think that will be my gaming experience of the year because I loved it so much. Like the gameplay and like the story elements, but just the idea of taking the stickers off and putting them on the board and creating your own little space. I really, really enjoyed that. And I'm not very often a solo gamer. We did start it actually. I didn't start it solo. We started playing it together, but then very quickly I was like, no, this is mine now. I want to play all of it. So it became something that was like my little evening thing to play, and I finished it in like only a few nights. And I was intending to flip the board and do the other side, but then I've been saving it because I know I've got a week off work or a couple of weeks off work coming up, so I was like saving it so I can do the other half. So that was a huge hit. Really, really enjoyed the game. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. Now, does it meet your unicorn quality? Is it
Oh, yeah, yeah,
beautiful?
it's lovely.
And and is it an engine builder?
No, 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 it's not an engine builder. No, not even a I'm trying to think now if there's I guess there's little bits of elements of it because you're making some light choices. I mean, ultimately there's only so many choices, so you don't really have a huge impact on what happens. You play this story or this story, but some of the
Right,
choices that you make mean you've got access to more of certain resources and that. So there's a little bit of an element of, that resource management and stuff. Yeah, but ultimately it's the storytelling. It's you're playing through the story
yeah,
and reading little snippets of what's going on, and you're making the decision of what goes there. And even if you're making a decision that's not really game beneficial, just because it's aesthetically pleasing. Like one of the things I gave my
right.
cow a cowboy hat. It did nothing, but it looked awesome, and I was like, "Yay, cowboy hat for my cow!" And that was it.
All cowboys must have
Yeah.
cowboy hats, let's be
But
fair,
it
right?
this was just a cow.
So
It was it was my cow on the farm. Yeah.
oh, it was not a
No,
cowboy,
it
it
was a
was a
cow.
cow. Well,
Big.
okay,
It was
okay.
one of the characters in it, they make hats for animals. I don't know why. That was it.
Hey, I love hats, so I love headgear. I'm all about headgear, so, I can appreciate that. As an educator, I think you have a unique perspective on my
Okay.
next question. Do you have a favorite game that you like? And this is connected to episode 163 with Craig, where we talked about the evolution of gateway games. Do you have a favorite gateway game, entry level game that you like to bring to the table when you're uh, introducing new
Um,
gamers to the hobby?
yeah, I think a big go-to for me is, Camel Up. That's always one
Okay.
that, we bring out if there's people that are brand new to gaming, because I think it's so easy to grasp the concept of it. It's very fun, and even if you get somebody who doesn't quite understand it, there's always the fun action of let's spin the dice using the pyramid and that sort of thing. So that's one, Camel Up. And the other, Cash and Guns. I think that's a really great, intro,
Okay.
gateway game, especially if you've got lots of people around the table. It's a good one for like, office, um, office CPD type team buildery days. And
Right.
everybody likes playing that one because everybody gets a gun and gets to shoot at each other. And yeah, I like that one.
Do you get an opportunity to uh, introduce board games into your
Yeah,
classroom?
yeah, a little less so now than I used to. I think maybe just because of the landscape of teaching, that you don't really get an awful lot of time to do more than what you've got to do because it's everything's so tight. But yeah, yeah, we do quite a lot. I used to always use Werewolf as like my icebreaker intro game when I'd get a new group of students. The only reason I stopped doing that is because we just have much bigger cohorts that it's much harder to manage
Mm,
games. But students
right.
always love Werewolf, always. I don't think I've ever ran a game of Werewolf for a group of students who afterwards, like then for months, they're like, Zoe, can we play the Werewolf game again? And yeah. And I've been really fortunate the last couple of years to have a few game companies get on board with helping me with WEX projects with students. So we've got to get an amount of hours that the government mandate for students in full-time education to do work experience. It's really difficult getting stuff like that for media students, but there's lots of opportunities for creating content and doing social media things. So um, Descent Games, they make a lovely range of greetings cards with games on the front, and they gave us a whole bunch of them and access to all their PDFs. So the students learn to play them and review them and photograph them and have a go at making their own. And the other ones, Party Snail, they did Ninja Hamster Apocalypse Disco. I think that's the right combo. Ninja Hamster Apocalypse
Yes,
Disco,
I,
yeah.
I think.
But they sent
Yeah,
me a big box of all of their games again for the students to learn to play and photograph and create content and stuff. So that's quite nice when I can tie it into a project. Um, but I think the students know that I will always try and get them to play games with me if I can, you know. Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it. That's great. Do you have any advice for, someone who's new to the hobby, and they approach you and they want to become a content creator as well
Oh,
and start into and to be clear, it's the intention. They wanna intentionally create board game content on social media. Is there, like, one piece of advice you're like, "You've gotta do this,"
um,
or "Don't
I
do that"?
think getting involved in the community, because I don't think you could be particularly successful creating content for the community if you weren't part of it. I think you have to engage with other people's posts. You have to have a go every now and again at some community hashtags, chat to folk, and get to know that audience. I just spilled my drink then. Get to know the audience that you're trying to engage with, and that's all about the community side of it. Um, I also don't see what possible pleasure there would be in doing it if you weren't engaging with the community as well, because that's the best part of it that you
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. When you connected with the community, we talked about it a little bit earlier, when you first realized it. What was the one thing that really surprised you about the board game hobby?
Maybe how many people were as passionate about it, and as that there's so many people out there that are absolutely loving this hobby, that it's so huge, and so many
Yeah,
people want to make content about it. It's like that there's so many people that are in the hobby, not just as gamers, but also as like content creators, and being active in wanting to photograph their games and tell the stories of all of these games.
yeah,
Because I think that's a really wonderful thing, that it's such a enjoyable hobby for people, that they feel that
yeah,
they need to share it with the world and share it with everybody. I think that speaks
right.
for how amazing the hobby is.
We are a passionate bunch of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
Yeah.
really are. Uh, well, Zoe, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and, visiting and chatting with me. I
Thank
really
you
appreciate
for
it. This
having
has been
me.
a real pleasure for me. Uh, so where can everyone find you on all your
I'm on
socials?
Instagram as Unicorns and Board Games. I also have a YouTube, but I haven't posted anything on it for ages. So you can go and watch some old videos, but nothing new.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, be kind to each other and let's play more games.